Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to SIMseniors. Apologies for the abrupt transition. A little bit of a technical issue in the background. Got it now resolved, up and running. You join us at a good time. It's here at Mount Panorama that we are going to be seeing a lot of hardcore racing once again tonight, with 42 cars joining us on the circuit. What I will say is we have had a bit of optimization thanks to going on to LFM last weekend, and having 80 cars on track was certainly a stress test for my system, but I'm happy to say things are looking up, things are looking pretty efficient and now running much smoother than they ever did, as well as condensing a couple of bits down. We'll have a little bit of cleanup and making things even better for you. Welcome everyone, good to have you in. Hoping everyone is having a good evening, and let's go to see who is going to be the car to beat. Well, you know the rules by now. 10 minutes in qualifying for bronze and silver, and then 10 minutes for gold only here in the circuit. And the championship is certainly heating up. We're on board with Christian Sullivan, who has been a pretty good car to keep an eye on throughout this season. It's had a lot of ups and downs. Points penalties have certainly negated a lot of his good results. If he had got a zero penalty record, he'd be in P4 right now. Unfortunately, 16-point drop means a lot at this stage of the season. So we're going to stick on board with Sullivan as things get going. Nisbet is going to be the car to beat in bronze, with Visharek being the new leader of silver. Exactly equal points with Alex North. Here we go. Sullivan is on the hunt, and he's going for it nice and quickly. Good first corner, and then up to the mounted straight before we start to make our ascension. It's a smooth run and a smooth line, as everyone is going to be trying to get to the grips with Panorama. Panorama is an interesting one because it has the boundaries and the strictness of a street circuit. However, it's still a fully fledged race course. I believe FIA grade 2. So you're not going to be seeing any top-end FIA machinery on it, but you are still going to be seeing likes of GT3s, V8 supercars, and other raucous machines making their way around here in Australia. Nicely done as we come through Mapphillamy Park, and then now into one of arguably the most iconic pieces of the circuit. It's the downhill multiple chicanes, it's the S's, it's the dipper, Forest's elbow to finish, and the Conrod straight darting down the hill. Keeping it nice and honest here for Sullivan. Now opening up the taps, heading down. Get almost a perspective, the visceral experience that is piloting one of these machines, especially around a track like this. You are committing everything to that downhill, 275, nearly 280 kilometers an hour before jumping on those brakes, getting all the way down into second gear, and keeping that car under control as best you can. Last couple of corners now, Murray's to finish. Let's see what the benchmark is on the boards. See a couple of retirements already from the current lap, so Hiro is on a yellow. That's the number 41 car of the session. Best 2 minutes point. It's 203.880, 203.6 coming in from Neil Mellon immediately after, and then we're going to have a mass deluge of cars. It's a 202.8 from John Mitchell, Glenn Parkinson 3.4. Matthias Martinson 3.8, just ahead of Sullivan. Stuart Holmes is going to come through as well. And this is going to be Roger Dismiquez on a yield, so he's not actually going to commit to this one. His leader is silver, Radislav Visharek. What can he get on this timing board here? Remember, 202.8 to beat. 203.4 is going to get you close second. 203.1, slap bang in the middle. That Ferrari is in P2 and currently leads his respective group here. Not sure why the scrolling is not functioning as intended. I do apologise for that, folks. Trying to get things tweaked and working soon as possible. They're trying to get a bit of a track back on. As we'll see, there we are. We're back to normal. And you can see the silvers are taking the top spots. John Mitchell calls car to beat, but Radoslav Visharek is going to be coming in hot. On board with the helicopter for Mitchell there, but Visharek now making his way through up the hill. Solomon Park, half a second up. Looking pretty spicy, if I do say so. Major time gains coming in from many. Visharek encountering a little bit of traffic. That's going to be an issue. That's going to be Craig Morrison in the 213. Is off on a lap, and you see Visharek already losing that entire half-second advantage. That is a brutal hit for his campaign. Martinson, meanwhile, an entire second up, could be knocking on the doors of the pole position for his respective group. P7 currently a second down. It could mean it's almost P1, 202.9, 1/10 away from John Mitchell's time. Time currently stands. Robert Homer coming up to the line now. 1.6 seconds up. Could be a silent sweep, as he's going to come through into second as well. 23 milliseconds shy. John Mitchell still holds the crown coming into this next section. Iroj coming through to start his lap, as we have Nisbet coming through to finish it. Of course, leader of the bronze, Nisbet is going to be up into P6 and is going to be the fastest time out of his group. Only has a lot to prove here. Alright, Renato Ribeiro, 159, pops up a place. Just gets ahead of Peter Smith with a P12. Andy Zimmer coming up to line 2, 204.7, but could get himself into the top 10 with a well-placed final corner. 9/10 up. Any improvement out of the final? Let's see, let's find out. 203.9 is going to be P12, so just shy of those sacred top 10 places. Don't forget as well, the session is young. We still have a lot of qualifying and a lot of racing to do. Worth noting as well, we've just got a bit of information. There has been a bit of balance of performance measures, a success ballast that has been applied. So coming into this race, we will check that out with the gold drivers, but ballast being applied will mean that there is a little bit more on the line here. A little bit more at play, and of course puts into perspective with some of the measures that are going into racing here. Neil Mellon into 7th. Visharek is going to be improving. Matthias Martinson, not so much. Now coming through the Ferrari once again, the number 4. Going out through the Conrad straight into the chase corner, the chase chicane. Now having a much wider open run here. 0.6 of a second up. This could be a 203 or 202.5, but bit of a difficult final chicane. Now final corner. Let's see here, we're coming through Visharek. What a run! The second sector, complete dominance. 202.610, and a bit of a curiosity I just saw. That's Lindblom and Linatas parking at the pit line, waiting to go. I would have expected it would be out of their boxes, but no, they're queuing up. They're forming an orderly line, one by one. They really want to get out first, huh? Didn't quite expect to see that, although that does make sense. It does put into perspective how they've managed to constantly be at the front of the pack for qualifying. But here we go, 15 seconds remain. And then after that point, we will see the gold class drivers and we will see the silver and bronze class drivers retire out of the session and return to their pit boxes. Opens up the track for the second set of 20. The Trickett getting a new fastest is a 205.4. Not quite the speed he was looking for, but it's still enough to get something here. Holmes, Quinn-Kellenberg and Bull in the pits. No time for a recharge and a rerun. 202.9 come from Anthony Hebert into 5th place there for the Ferrari, but they know it all too well. It is time for the changeover. North is going to complete his lap, same with Randy Zimmer and a couple of others making their way further down the line. Here's Roger Dismukes coming up to the chase. They're not as many bronze drivers as we are used to seeing on the course. They're now coming through and getting a bit of improvement, but unfortunately, improvement does not mean position. Same goes Craig Morrison. At best, he's going to be getting a bit of a time bump, but nothing yet in his pocket. And in the back line, we will be checking in with just a moment on the gold class drivers. See who is going to be the first out for the second half. North comes through. Big jump into the 0.672 mark. That's going to be a catapult of a run. And with that, most of the field is done on the other side of the aisle. And now it's gold territory all the way, baby. It's Liam Blom who currently leads the queue. He's just managed to pip from the likes of Guillemard. And then just behind that, Thomas Linatus, with familiar faces as the front three of the quali session. But let's check on board with Liam Blom. Liam Blom, curiously, has 40 kilograms of ballast applied. So a success BOP being put into place. You get 25 kilograms of ballast put on your car for a win, and then will reduce for succession wins up to a maximum of 40 kilograms. So Liam Blom has got the maximum ballast BOP applied. Let's see what performance we can extract out of him under these conditions. He's going to be fully committed as he heads through Quarry Bend. And now up the hill into the cutting. He's going to keep so close to the edge of the track. He's really running up to those walls. The margin's so tight here at Panorama. Bathurst never disappoints, especially in quali trim. Yeah, I'd say that line, parking up behind the pit line. I'm not sure what I expected, to be honest, but still, it is a welcome change, and a bit of clarity on how they're able to get away so quickly. Shame on me for not noticing, I guess. But here we go. Here's Liam Blom. Really pushing now. Curiously not hitting the same highs, but really powering on into 6th gear. 280, 281 before stomping on those brakes. Nice and cleanly executed. Through the final chicane. A good point being made. The extra elevation change will be punishing towards his pace and towards speed, but there's Liam Blom being Liam Blom. 2 minutes, 0.777. Although Guillemard, who himself has got 15 kilograms of ballast, is going to go one step sharper. It's a 2.517. Really good stuff there. Linatus is going to go into 4th, 201.9. Oscari Herme in 2 minutes, 0.930 in the Minecraft livery. Dave Marsh with the 201.9. And then a couple more gold class drivers to come through. Is Damien Reed into 4th with a 1.4. Hellstrom is going to be with a 202.2. Hamby 202.6. Larson now making his way up to the line. Is going to be 3rd with a 0.925. 5 milliseconds clear of Johan Larson, or Oskari Herme, Johan Larson. And then a couple more cars making their way through. James Payton into 11th. Mostly is Ostrichars into a good position. So he's up into 2:03.1, so no time being afforded that's with the rest. He's actually a bit down on his pace. Wolfslenner, familiar face, always see familiar pace, up to the line, and his P5, 2:01.030. Final 5 minutes of qualifying, a lot on the line still. Even if things are hitting a bit of equilibrium, as many drivers have got some really strong outlaps and first runs. Here's GMR though, he's going to push the envelope, potentially could see a 59. We'll get into the 1 minute, that will be a sobering thought. I think if we didn't have the ballast at play, we definitely would be having that. Seriously, we also have Matthias Holmberg, also with a 10 kilogram ballast applied. But then the last finisher in gold will get 10 kilograms removed. Oh no, so Holmberg is actually minus 10 kilograms. That's my mistake. That was a misread. The last finisher in gold having a weight reduction relative to their standard BOP. And that will give them a chance to swing back and fight the good fight once more. We are going to see improvements across the board. It's going to be GMR with a 2:01.05 as the time to beat. We have got Hellstrom, Cutler as well, Neergaard just going through. Here's Holmberg into P5, 2:01.027, just slightly ahead of Peter Wolfslenner by a blink of an eye. Not even hyperbole. We'll see a small improvement from Colin McNair as he's now on the track, P14. As Johan Larsson gets no improvement, unfortunately. Question is who will be getting the improvement around the rest of the field, as there will be chances still for the rest to come out swinging. Ostrachar's getting that time he wanted after all with a 2:02.397. So he is going to be back in contention now. There's going to be GMR getting even more improvements. Lindblom is going to head back into the pits. Though something happened with his exit out of Forest's elbow. And that was costly. AMR, 0.2 of a second up. We could see him be the first 159. And if that's not a mission statement, I don't know what is. Let's see if he can connect it up. Final corners. The chase looks clean. Now for Murray's. It all comes down to this. Last corner. Good line. Good on the power. Up to the line. No! So close. 2:020. So close. But so far. That was nail-biting. I don't even know what to say to that. That was just something else. I thought we were going to see the 159. But apparently this time at least it's not meant to be. It's going to be Neergaard in the AMG coming up to the line now. We have him into a 1.097 just behind Peter Wolfslenner. We'll see Wolfslenner himself on an improvement. Holmberg is going to be peeling off to the side and returning to the pit lane. Question is who is going to go for another one. There's no time. If you're in the pits by now, you are done. James Payton with an improvement up into P13. As we're on board with Wolfslenner coming into the Conrad Straight. See the kind of pace that he's on board for. As we now have him making his way down. McNair, I think, is going to be retiring into the pit lane. Yes, he is. More drivers heading into the pit lane now, not having the runs that they so desired. Sacrificing their chance for another go. AMR is currently holding on to pole position, but will it stand the whole time? Wolfslenner could have a chance to go into P3 here. Comes up to line P2. Even better. He's going to leapfrog Lindblom. 0.465. Half a tenth faster than the NSX. What a run there. Dave Marsh coming up to the Conrad Straight as well. But a rapid qualifying here. Of course, the race is a completely different kettle of fish. But it goes without saying that if you have a good qualifying, that puts you in very good standing for the race. You can get away from the chaos early, and you can try to get a break before Mount Panorama comes to claim you as one of its own. Johan Larsson is going to abandon here. I think that is going to be the curtains for them. Dave Marsh up into P7. Slightly leapfrogging on Ben Neergaard. Oscari Herme coming up to the line now. 2 minutes point 9 becomes 2 minutes point 6 and up into 4th position. Neergaard with an improvement of his own could take the position back from Marsh here, but it's all about this final sector. Lost a bit of time. Will he be able to connect it up? I don't know if he'll be able to. It is going to be close. Oh no, it's the exact same time. I don't believe this. 0.940. Look at this, folks. 0.940. 0.940. A movie script would say that it's too convenient. I don't even have the words. I don't even have the words. I am genuinely gobsmacked. Befuddled, if you will. And extremely impressed. So both of them, they are literally going to be neck and neck in this race as well as on quali. Inatus coming up to the line. So yeah, any good luck here? A little bit of dirt. Pick it up on the exit of the chase here. Final corner now. Get the Audi rotated, get on the power quickly as you can. Oh, a little bit of a rearward snap, but it's just going to be okay. And he's going to get the exact same time to the millisecond as Paul Hamby. What is this 2x2 madness? What is this madness? The 2x2s just keep on coming. But here you go, folks. Regardless, we do have a pole sitter. It's going to be Frederick Guillemard. And with Peter Wolfslener in second, Lindblom to third. That is a hefty podium. That is a powerhouse in the golds. Meanwhile, further down the order, you have Radoslav Vischerek in the number 4 Ferrari, Alex North in the 207 Aston, and Randy Zimmer in the 141 Ferrari to complete your silvers. And then finally, John Gabbert, along with Craig Niesbet and Renato... Oh, no, not Renato. Christian Sullivan. Misclick there. That is going to be your top 3 for the bronze. Let's see who has the wherewithal to make it happen here at Panorama, as we are going to go on board for our track walk, and we will see who has the moxie, who's got what it takes here. Let's see. Of course, you know, you've seen already Guillemard and then Wolfslener side by side with each other to complete the first row, and then Lindblom in third podium for the gold class runners. Oscari Herme is going to be fairly close behind with a solid result in qualifying, and then it's going to be in row 3 Matthias Holmberg and Johan Larsson in the 231 and 848 Mustangs. Curiously, a couple switching to different cars this season. The Mustang seems to be a popular one. Marsh sticking true, though, to his Porsche in the number 27 with Ben Neergaard, new arrival, and in the 313 Mercedes AMG. Tommy Hellstrom is going to start row 5 in the 660 Mustang, and then Damien Reed, the sole Lexus on the track. The 979 is going to complete your top 10. McNair in the 13. Iron Brew Nismo is going to be alongside Justin Cutler, other Nismo on the track that remains in the number 35. James Payton along with Paul Hamby in the 248 AMG and the 84 Lamborghini. They're going to complete and complement your row 7 with Linatus and Ostrichards completing your gold class cohort. 16 drivers out there tonight in the 12 and the 74 to finish. Then you get onto the silvers. It's Radoslav Vischerek along with Alex North in the number 4 and number 207 respectively, followed by Randy Zimmer and John Mitchell in the 141 Ferrari and the 24 Rothmans Porsche. What is it with me rolling my R's today? Robert Homer is going to be in 21st with Matthias Martinson in the 6 and 7 Porsche and Mustang. Then it's Anthony Hebert and Glenn Parkinson. Finally, you have in the second half of the field, it's Rich Arscombe and then John Gabbert, number 76 Vantage, and the number 21 NSX. I'll say, it really has become a bit of a popular pick this season. The NSX looking to be the car to beat. Number 90 McLaren of Paul Murray and number 11 Ferrari of Neil Mellon, along with Craig Niesbet in the number 29 and Iro Missouri in the 992. That's going to be 30. And then last 10 or so, it's Renato Ribeiro in the 159 McLaren, Christian Sullivan in the 41 Lamborghini, Peter Smith in the 113 McLaren, Rog Dismukes in the 420 Porsche. I still miss the chrome pink. 213 McLaren Shadow car is going to be Craig Morrison, Andy Trickett in the 115. And then last 6, it's Stuart Holmes in the number 2 McLaren. It's Rick Quinkellenberg in the number 23 Ferrari. Michael Ball in the number 97 McLaren. And Helge Olsen in the 949 Lamborghini. Last row, David Drury in the 15 Ferrari. And Richard Colomb in the 774 McLaren. And that is time. And with that, time to go racing. We will, of course, have the field condensing together just out of the chase. Looking good here in Bathurst. 27 degrees track surface temp, 24 degrees ambient with a slight crosswind. So it's going to be near optimal conditions, not perfectly. It is 6:26 p.m. local, meaning that there will be a bit of deviation on your temperatures. Temperatures will start to go down over the course of the race as we cross past the sunset. We will start to get into the night a little bit more. Of course, if you have got any drivers that you want to support, let us know. Let's see what you want to have happen for these races. Championship could hang in the balance with some of these drivers, so it will be a proper fight. It's going to be really something special here. We're coming up to the halfway point of the championship, but it doesn't look like any of these fights are slowing down. We've got a tooth and nail fight on all fronts. Liam Blom and Gayamar, 1 point. Visharek and North, equal points. Nisbet and Dismukes, also 1 point. There really is no room for error, even at the sharp end of the championship, where many expect to have breakaways. You're not going to be having such luck here, I am afraid. Either way, though, let's get things under control. Let's get this show on the road. It's 2 Mustangs that lead out of quali and into the race here. 1 hour, mandatory stop, fuel required, tyres optional. Hopefully we have a fun but fair race. No major contacts. No major upsets. The only upsets we want to see is in the championship order. So, race control, going to call at any moment. The track is hot here for round 4 of season 9, coming up to the line, and there you go. Let's go racing. Let's have some fun here. Already, Gayamar going to go to cover off that inside. Liam Blom and Hermé are going to go out of the first corner, establishing an order. Liam Blom up ahead and trying to already put some massive pressure on to Wolfsenner. It's going to be a tough fight. Oh, it's ominous looking. The 2 NSXs trying to catch up to you there. Let's jump on board with the helicopter as well, as we got multiple fights going on over the entire race distance. Is David Drury's in the pits? Something's gone wrong with him there. Ostrachard's getting boxed in. Lenatus behind. Melon looks like he's had a bit of an issue. I think there was a tiny bit of contact previously. So many drivers in such close succession. Is Christian Sullivan going for a bit of ping pong on the back of Craig Nisbet right there. He's just trying to get a bit of space, and it's not happening there. There's going to be Sullivan Murray. Now, as Murray is on the hunt. Looks like Hermie's been overtaken by Matthias Holmberg. We now head into the second and third sectors of the track. Be a bit close for comfort for some, but this is what you got to do. This is the elbows that you got to get out. close proximity there. Hermé trying to get some pressure down. Johan Larsson just sweeping around and overtaking them there. We have a couple of accidents which we are going to, of course, review. But we do have Nisbet, Smith and Trickett into the pits. Unfortunately, we did lose a couple of racers. We've lost Glenn Parkinson, as David Drury is out of the pits now. Hopefully we don't lose any more drivers, as we know that Pano can be punishing. Mount Panorama for many. We'll hopefully get things settled and out of the way. Let's take a bit of an early review and see exactly what happened with Simon. He's going to be on board with the helicopter. This is going to be from the perspective of Randy Zimmer here. We'll see exactly what's happened here. Coming up to the start. And it looks like it's just, yep, full concertina effect. And even just further behind, it was a major incident waiting to happen. Luckily, no major casualties. Things are trying to get a little bit of balance. Lindblom is going to keep pushing and pushing hard on Peter Wolfslener right now. There's a couple of local yellows coming out further down the order. That's going to be Colin McNair, as Lenatus is going to try and close into the back of John Mitchell. Earguard could be another car to keep an eye on, as we have seen some drivers flounder a little bit under the pressure of the race scenario. Some are trying to make the best out of it. Nearguard keeping close to Dave Marsh, looking for a challenge. We are going to unfortunately have more cars going into the pits, as that is Stuart Holmes, Rick Quinn-Kellenberg and Roger Dismakes coming out of the pits now, rejoining into P36 and actually jumping out ahead of major traffic. Lenatus is going to head in, curiously enough. So there is a question mark around that. Something is not right. Something is seriously not right for that many cars on this early stage to jump in. Trickett now out of the pits, 153 seconds later. We're just going to wind back the clocks and see exactly what happened a bit earlier. I was going to see Craig Nisbet now. See why he had to head into the pits. His way through Philby Park. And oh, yep, just a bit of oversteering on the curbs. Rolling across the track, contact, multiple cars getting caught up in a major incident just up before we headed into the likes of Skyline Dipper, etc. Salmon Park proving to be a bit of a dangerous spot for some. See, just coming out and then into McPhillamy. This is exactly where that incident kicked off and happened. But looks like the top end of the order has got itself a bit of free running. AMR is going to be almost 2 seconds ahead of fellow Wolfpack driver Wolfslener right now. To say, such a difficult race scenario. This is what we are saying about this track being punishing, or Mount Panorama to some. This is exactly why. It does not hold your hand. If you make a mistake, there's little to no runoff. There is no safety net, there is no easy rejoin. It is just, you are in the wall or you are off, and your rejoin is going to get ugly. Look at Marsh, a lift off oversteer coming out the chase chicane, and having to creep his way out onto the racing surface, try and get back up to speed as fast as possible. He's going to barely have John Gabbert overtake him, and in fact is going to take this time to jump into the pits, although he's massively overcooked it and gone into the gravel. I say, so far it's looking like a painful race experience for many. But not one that is insurmountable. You have a couple of fender benders coming in from some. There's a flag for the number 115, so that's Andy Trickett, but only a minor contact by the reads of the data output. We're going to see a stop and go penalty being applied and then cleared for the number 420 car. That's Roger Dismiquez, so he had to head in for a second stop technically to clear that stop and go. Couple more yellows, but something's happened. Oh, something has happened indeed. This is the 115 and the 313. That is Nergard. So let's take a perspective from someone who is trying to chase down. This is on board from Justin Cutler. Try and get a bit of a forward window. Oh, you can see just, yeah, making contact, collecting another car there. That's Damien Reed. The AMG and the McLaren both being under some fire. So Lindblom will be still on the back of Wolfslener. Also, McNair is hunting Cutler down. I wonder if he's going to try and get something through this next lap. Apologies if I sound not 100%. I actually burned my mouth this afternoon. And in a bit of a nasty way. So, a little bit difficult to fully enunciate and use my voice to its full potential. See McNair really running close right now. Damien Reed into the pits as well. Here's Hebert having a bit of a caution flag come out as I think he made contact with another car just earlier. Peyton on the back of Paul Hamby. Going to the left side, trying to get a bit of an attack into Quarry Bend. One, if you can get up ahead, you can easily make a corner, but Hamby on the defensive is going to lock that one down. No such luxury being afforded, unfortunately for some. Meanwhile, Robert Homer as well. On the attack this time for Matthias Martinsson and Randy Zimmer at the same time. It is going to be close quarters combat, but it is going to be absolutely exhilarating. Going to be summoning every ounce of pace and power that he has on tap here. We're going to see a bit of a sweep round. That's McNair and Cutler, I think, having an incident earlier. Let's see if anything does come up on the helicam. Switch to helicopter for a bit of perspective. So now coming into Skyline S's dipper. Oh, brutal hit, but both into the wall. McNair is going to get round, but not without the major casualty of the number 35, who I'm not surprised would be dealing with some damage by this point. There's a reason why he's dropped several tenths and nearly 2 seconds to not just McNair, but Hamby too. And there you go, as predicted, we'll be jumping into the pit lane. I think the wisest move. Oh, thank you. Yeah, feeling better already, but before it gets better, it has to get worse, apparently. So yeah, not the easiest time, but we move forward regardless. See, Ostrachar's running real close there. He has got the chance to go for it, maybe. We're going to see a local yellow for the number 2 car. That's Stuart Holmes. Looks like he's having some kind of issue with his car. Limping across that second sector. And looking pretty beat up, a bit worse for wear. We're also going to see Hebert and Vischerek trading spots there through Outer Quarry Bend. We'll check in and see who is the wherewithal to keep fighting. Lindblom on the back of Wolfslener. He's been there for a little bit, but he might be inching closer. And he could be looking to make this one the time. I'm a little bit nervous on the part of these two because eventually someone's got to crack. And hopefully it's not going to end in any casualties. Yeah, you can see that McLaren really is limping. The number 2 barely making it through this next part of the course. He is going to be under yellow flag conditions anywhere in the immediate vicinity. I do feel bad for Holmes right now. Lindblom close. Pushing as much as one possibly can. Is he going to tuck out for the chance? We also see Ostrishars potentially on the car to remove. But we're going to keep the eye on P2 for now. This really is for significant quantity of marbles. Keep it close, keep it honest. Still keeping respectful as well. All the way through, respect being shown. We've seen that a few times over this championship, even when people make mistakes, lose their car, etc. There will still be respect shown. There will be times where drivers will prefer to yield, prefer to give the position back, take a position with honesty, rather than with circumstance. Not to say they're not capable of the position, far from it. In fact, they are more than capable of fighting stalwart competitors, but you want to get it on track. You want to get it on track, because that's really what matters. We're here to race. We're not here to let the stewards be the deciding factor in our final fates, our positions. You want to get that fight on track. That's what makes racing like this so special. Uh-oh. There is a problem for Radoslav Visharek. There is a major problem. We will see now. Let's have a look now while there's a bit of a gap, bit of downtime. Remember, pole sitter for the quali session in silver. See Solomon Park, now McPhillamy. Oh, just overcooking it into the gravel. Right at the top. Yeah, unfortunate stuff there. That is going to drop him back and really put him under a bit of fire. See, these two fighting, but refusing to let each other really get anything decisive on the other. We are seeing Wolfson with a 4.2 second gap to Guillemot. Guillemot hasn't exactly run off into the distance, but I don't think we were expecting him to. He's not got the best position. He is going to be, of course, around Mount Panorama fighting with his car. Think back to earlier, don't forget he has got 15 kilos of ballast. Lindblom has 40, but he's also right behind Wolfslenner. Guillemot is going to be impacted by that ballast, and that issue will become more and more prominent as the track gets colder and mechanical grip becomes less. Lindblom is keeping close still, but I don't think we are going to see a major move happening for a little bit. Just going to keep tucking behind. He's going to wait, I think. He is going to wait for Wolfslenner to make a crucial mistake. And in that mistake lies the golden ticket, the opportunity that he's going to inevitably seize for position. And if he can win this race on max ballast, well, what more is there to say? What more is there to say? Still really hunting for it. I would not be surprised if Lindblom goes for it on the next couple of laps. 2-minute laps here. Pano is quite a long distance as far as tracks go. Is Iro going to be taking the move on Rich Arscombe, who goes wide, coming out of the Conrod straight and into the chase. Isn't able to hold side by side though. Very smooth overtake from the Porsche. Ostrachar also potentially getting close to an attack. He's going to go right behind James Payton. See what gap he can close. Ostrachar's getting real close to the back of Payton. Barely staying out of contact. Whoa, that could have got very close. I think that's Stuart Holmes. Is that Stuart Holmes behind? Looks like he's recovered for the most part. He's actually managed to recover his car. Yep, that is the number 2, Stuart Holmes. Albeit in the bottom position. But still fighting forward. And that's what we want to see. We don't always need a winner. Sometimes we just need a fighter. If you're willing to fight, then you have what it takes to win. Time for the racers to really give it everything, because now you want a bit of space. I mean, I look on board with Helge Olsen right now, P26. They're trying to just get a bit of room on the track. And you can't really make progress in Panorama without getting some space. Ostrachar's has been on the back of Payton for ages, and Payton is losing time to Hamby. Hand over fist, 3.2. I think managed to stabilise it for now, but that's not going to last. The more attacking and defending moves that come, the more time that is lost. Herme in the pits. It's going to drop down. Wolfsletter still on the defensive from Lindblom right now. We are 20 minutes deep and we are still seeing these two go at it. No inch of track is being left untouched. Just watch them. Watch how they dart through this next section. They are going as close to the walls as they can, even taking a little bit of slip angle just to get that car rotated, pushing through out of the exit of the Dipper and now into Forrest's elbow. Just tucking to the right side as much as he can into Forrest's. Tries to go a little bit narrower, but no dice as Wolfsletter just has command of the apex, has command of this track, seemingly, compared to the NSX, and is looking like a mighty formidable defender. We head into now lap 10 fairly soon. There is going to be an issue. This is going to be for David Drury, going off in the chase, losing the car just a little bit, and even now Randy Zimmer is going to be chasing down Radislav Visharek, who's going to be for P4 of the group. I'll say Mitchell is one that's come out quite well from this, as we are on board with Ostrachar's now trying to overtake James Payton. Yeah, Mitchell, P11, lead of the Silvers. And then Gabbert is also doing immensely well, as he's got Richard Coulomb about 25 seconds behind, I want to say. Actually, no, more than that. More like 35. So, quite the time that he's got on his hands. And I have to say, I'm mighty impressed. Coulomb has had quite a miraculous recovery, although he has yet to pit relative to the rest of his field. A couple of local yellows bouncing in and out. Olsen dropping down a couple of spots. That's Martinson and Morrison. Lindblom, despite everything, still on the push, on the hunt, is going to be Hermé coming out and past Greg Morrison and Helge Olsen. Hermé's got a job to do now, and I do feel for him in a way, because he hasn't always had the best of luck, but he's still got a lot of fight left in him. He's now in P23, but crucially he is going to be having his own nest of the track that isn't going to be fighting with top-end competitors in his same performance bracket. He'll have a chance to just gain some time relatively unencumbered, short of occasional traffic overtakes. There's going to be Lindblom, curiously, into the pits now. Not something that I was expecting. I thought he was going to keep the pressure up on Wolfslener, but he's decided to cut his losses and go for the pit now, hope to undercut him. I think that actually might be the smarter move here. Go for the undercut, swing it round, and then take the position back when Wolfslener is inevitably caught up in his own pocket. Now, curiously, I want to know where Wolfslener is going to pit. Will he go now? Will he go in a couple of laps' time? Will he try and push it even further, go for a late stint? He's going to have to make that judgment call, and he's going to have to respond to Lindblom in some way. There will be a couple of squabbles around the course. There's going to be Ostrachal still on the back of Payton. Is going to be as well a chance for Lindblom to push through a bit. Hermé down in P23. If you needed a yardstick, a frame of reference, over 40 seconds between Lindblom and Hermé. Lindblom did have a much shorter pit stop, mind. 32 seconds stopped versus 56 for Hermé. Wait, hang on a minute. Did we just see what I thought we saw? That's Randy Zimmer. Randy Zimmer is going backwards on track. Ooh, ouch. That was a real tank slapper of a hit into the S's. Ow. Okay, that gives a bit more context as to why they were going backwards on track. But still, extremely dangerous position to be in. Yeah, that was a real tank slapper of a hit. Practically pit maneuvered themselves into the wall there. At least Zimmer is now back on his feet and running the right direction, but you can tell that that car is not running. That car is limping. It is crawling. It is legs broken, dragging itself to the pit lane. You can see just how much he's having to fight it from curving to the right. Barely able to get that thing round a left-hand corner. Hopefully he can get that thing fixed up in a relatively decent time frame. There's going to be Mellon trying to chase on the back. Wolfslener has pitted in and is in P15, which is, funnily enough, behind Lindblom. Lindblom with the undercut. He is executed. He did it successfully and got a second on him. What a masterstroke. What a play. As Lindblom is now effectively ahead and in the lead of the race, minus Guillemard, who has yet to pit. So we'll see how that yardstick shapes up. We'll see Wolfslener already feeling the pressure, going into the grass a little bit, just trying to drive the car even harder to close that gap. Maybe he could squeeze a bit more pace out of it, but at what cost? Will he compromise too much in the pursuit of a couple of tenths? Going to be wobbly. Going to be a stressful situation. See if he can peel this one back. I don't know if he can for a while yet. I must say, very impressed with these two. But is certainly going to be on the hunt. Apologies for the moments of silence, folks. Just having to take a little bit more of my drink than usual. But even so, Ostrishars is still on the hunt with Peyton in the crosshairs. I've got to say, the Mercedes has kept us cool. He really has done a good job so far of holding the Beamer off. Renato Ribeiro and Richard Colom into the pit lane now, as we have got 41 cars remaining on track and giving us a feisty show. Randy Zimmer into the pits for an extended period of time to repair all the damage he faced from that major collision. And then Peter Smith is also in and likely to be coming out soon. Helga Olsen has spun, making their way through the final corner, and looks like they tried to go for a pit but then just missed the pit entry? That's a very awkward place to be going off the track on. Still, recovers out and is going to keep pushing forward despite what looks like a fairly high amount of damage, or at least cosmetically is looking like a high amount of damage. We are going to see Wolfslander, Lindblom and Eero actually get involved in this squabble, as Wolfslander has peeled himself back in. Got himself within half a second. This is going to be where the action is. I would expect Guillemard is going to take a pit stop, but ultimately is still going to remain ahead. He got such a large margin earlier on in the race to where it doesn't really affect him too much. Not to mention he's unencumbered by traffic, so he has control of the cadence of his own race. He doesn't have to undercut anyone, he doesn't have to fight anyone, just is going to keep running on the smooth and narrow. Is Lindblom going past Rich Arscombe, for example, and with a smooth overtake, Wolfslander's going to follow suit in the coattails. You see the number 13 car briefly get a yellow. That's going to be Colin. So, minor wobble. Looks like they went slightly off, or at least there was seemingly actually a bit of an accident. So, let's take exactly what happened. I think that's Craig Niesbet right there. Oh no, that's Helga Olsen. My mistake. So, yep, coming up. Looks like they're running really slow. And, ooh, contact on the rear. And Olsen is actually going to be stopping out on track just in the middle of the circuit. Something has seriously got wrong with that Lamborghini. They are like others in this race thus far, having to go into limp mode to bring it back. We can see Michael Bull as well, another car who has stopped. This time it's because he's sideways on track. So let's try and check in and see what happened to the 97. Oh, okay. Yeah, that is a major mistake coming through onto Skyline in the S's. Trying to get on the power again, and again, lift off oversteer. Really, that is one of the worst places you can stop on the circuit. Luckily, he's managed to back on his feet. Back on his feet now, but not without casualties. And you can see he's going to get passed by relatively easily. Whether that's yield or performance, you tell me. Matthias Martinson coming out of the pits. We also have a couple more cars who just finished up a pit stop. Arscombe, Vischerek, Hebert, Peyton, all in too. Wolfslander Still on the back of Liam Blom, and Guillemard is going to be well ahead by over 18 seconds to Johan Larsson in second. I'm just relieved we didn't see further collisions as a result of the spin from Bull. That's the bit I care about. No further chaos and no further issues. Also, really trying to push the buttons of a certain NSX driver. Looks like we might see Nergard with a bit of a recovery. Bit of a recovery coming from Nergard. See if he can actually close the gap and get past Sullivan quickly, as he has got a lot of time that needs to make up. Oscom into the pits and making his way out now. Liam Blom looks like he has a bit of contact as Wolfslanner. Something major has happened. Let's get on board with the helicopter and see exactly what it was. So Wolfslanner chasing on to Liam Blom. Nothing new there. Both of them making their way through Solomon Park, coming up to a back marker, trying to get round. There's going to be a big slide there and gets collected as Wolfslanner is going to sweep by. Contact made. Liam Blom is going to be suffering, as it looks like they impacted quite heavily. I wonder if Wolfslanner is also suffering from some damage. Looks like a bit of visual, maybe some slight aero surface damage, but nothing major to drop the pace. Alex North, Ostrachars, Holmberg, Larson all in, as well as Iro and Melon. Many drivers now heading in. Even Frederick Guillemard has actually headed in himself, although 14 seconds clear. He's looking untouchable still. 13 seconds behind Colin McNair. Second even after all of that. Still ahead of John Mitchell. Post pit stop. Only 6 minutes to go and we'll see a lot of the field now. Just try and settle in. Yeah, it really was a good fight up until that point. Unfortunate. It's difficult as well. It's not really sure where you can place particular fault for that incident. On the one... Ooh, actually, that was a bit of rough run-ins. That's Christian Sullivan going into the wall there. On the one hand, you could say that it was the back marker not being able to get out of the way in an appropriate manner, but at the same time, Liam Blom did make a mistake trying to overtake. So, where do you draw that line? Let me know where you draw that line, personally. For me, I err on the side of the attacking car. It's the attacking car's responsibility to do so safely, and to do it while keeping themselves out of trouble. So, I am going to look to Liam Blom for that one. Although you can argue that the back marker was not in a good position, they were maybe slightly offline and unpredictable, you still got to consider that much. I think it could very well just be a racing incident, but if I had to place fault on someone, I'd be leaning more towards the attacking car, just by default of racing regulation. Going to be Iro on the back of Melon? Iro on the back of Melon. There we go. That's better. There's a couple of squabbles happening further away, but we'll check on with those in a minute. There's going to be McNair and Mitchell. Last two cars yet to pit in, finally going to the pit wall. Likely to be coming around in the 10s or the 20s. As there may yet be more racing to be shown. What is going on with Olsen's car? They have not had a good time. Let's jump on with the heli one more. So this is between the number 949 of Olsen and the number 660, which I do believe is Tommy Hellstrom. Fortunately, a little bit obscured. I think that's Stuart Holmes in the background. And, oh, yep, just a tap on the rear, slamming into the walls multiple times, and eventually coming into the pit lane after dragging that car home. I'm not going to make the same analogy as I did previously. But yep, into the pits. by all accounts could be game over. Is going to be Stuart Holmes into the pits as well in number 2. Hero still in the back of Melon, now heading into the next lap. A valid point being made is it did look like he kind of second guessed himself. He didn't know where to place the car, and almost created a situation where he was inducing oversteer and unable to control it. I think you might be right there, just double guess himself, or second guess the pass being made where he should really go. A bit of speculation whether there's a equipment failure for Olsen. Not sure. We will get updates as we have them. We don't actually know with these things a lot of the time until we're informed by a third party. Looks like this is Craig Niesbet trying to get the car back together coming out of the first corner, and yeah, really struggling to get that thing under control. I wouldn't be surprised if there is going to be a limp lap here for Niesbet. P36 not having a good time. Then further up ahead, it's John Gabbert who leads for the bronze. And with a strong form too. He's going to have Sullivan miles away. Hellstrom is onto the back of McNair. Mitchell is going to be the leader of the Silvers, and we'll check in with him in a moment, as he's got his own pocket of the track altogether. For local yellows, primarily for the 331 car. As Niesbet is going to be sort of wobbling and struggling his car home. Staying out of the way of traffic wherever he can. And let's see, there's Paul Murray, there's Damien Reed. Many drivers. I think this is what makes Mount Panorama Mount Panorama. It is known for being a gauntlet. It is known for being a challenge. Very few tracks get a reputation like this one. Second to only that of tracks with the likes of Lasarth, Green Hell, many others in that category, but Panorama stands apart. It has a unique quality about it. Of course, one can talk all day about how the track creates a unique kind of pressure, or it's because of the walls being so close, or wherever else you can argue. In fact, we see Michael Bull just in the back marker there, in the back line. For all the arguments you can make, Pano is intimidating. I think that's one of its most defining traits. As much as it can be argued it's similar to other tracks, it's not as technical, it's not as surely scary, it is intimidating. It's the elevation change, it's the tight walls, it's the fact that throughout all of this you're cambering and twisting and fighting your way up and down this hill, all at the same time trying to juggle potentially space with other cars on that same circuit. You're never going to have an easy time here. And that is both a blessing and a curse. And perfectly described, perfectly apt. It is a Marmite track. You either love it to pieces or you hate it with every fibre of your being. You don't really have an in-between, and where you land on that side of the line can change on an almost weekly basis, depending on what you're doing. It is such a track of extremes. It can be hot or cold, yes or no, in and you're out, up and you're down. It's all up to the situation, and you can very easily argue either way. That's going to be Michael Bull into the pits. I personally love this track, but that's always from the perspective of a spectator. It is going to be with a pinch of salt. The drivers, they're having to face this monster. And not everyone is coming out unscathed. You can just as easily catch yourself out of kilter and put yourself into the wall as much as you can get too much elbows out. You have to be self-assured driving around here. Not overconfident and not nervous. You have to have the right amount of confidence and self-assurance, and you need to be comfortable with the car that you are piloting. You will not survive with a good position at the end if you do not have that synergy with your car and your environment. As said, super easy to over and underdrive here. You can push way too hard, kick yourself out into a wall. You can underdrive the car out of nerves and lose 5 seconds. It's all on the table. More so than others. We are coming up to the final 15 minutes now. And one thing has become very apparent. You either succeed at this track, or you massively, massively underperform. I mean, we've had some drivers who have had real stinkers of races. We have Stuart Holmes, for example, 4 stops deep. Still trucking, still going along, and massive respect for that, might I add. But he has had a tough time. It's 4 pit stops. That's a lot of time to lose. Still, compared to Macau, well, Macau is Macau. You're going to need to have the precision of a surgeon to have a good time at Macau. I think that is too extreme in that direction, personally. It's too far in that direction for me. You'd have to be driving through the eye of a needle. Well, it feels like that anyway. Lenatus on the back of North right now. Lenatus is in a tough spot because he's not with the rest of his field. The closest that he's going to have in his pocket is going to be Oscari Herme, and we know Herme to be quite the rapid cheese. All the rest is just fully other cars, other compatriots. Although, upside, silver lining on a driver we saw earlier, Lindblom, no pit stop required by the looks of things. There is no need for a second pit stop for Lindblom. He's keeping it together just fine, even with that rear quarter contact and spin. And even closing down to Matthias Holmberg. So we might have to keep an eye on these 2 cars before long. I think Holmberg is maybe struggling a little bit to push forward. And that's the ace in the hole for a certain NSX. Having to deal with a bit of back markers that are holding him behind. Holmberg is now on to a bit of a dilemma. Lindblom half a second away does mean that he will be under pressure, likely to the end of the race, unless he yields or makes a mistake. A search for space, a search for positions. Who will answer the call? In North is going to be tailing off Lenatus, as he has made the overtake on 1. Next stop, Anthony Hebert. Trying to chase down as much as he can. Hebert with the Bang & Olufsen on the rear wing. Nice touch. I know I've said it before, but I'll say it again. The amount of work that goes into these liveries cannot be understated, and I'm immensely impressed and respectful of those who take the time to build these liveries. I know Hamby made a few, for example. Visharek absolutely sending it through the chase. What is going on there? That was a line of all time. I don't know what was going on there. It looks like it just cut the chase. And yeah, what's gone into Visharek? Looks like he took a massive amount of speed through that corner as well. Either that or his connection's going a little bit funky. I don't know what is going on here. But that was certainly a move to be frowned upon. It's one thing to go off track, but you do not keep an advantage when you go off track. You relinquish any advantage gained. So, in any other situation, you'd be given that position back. Looks like his connection is a little bit clunky as well, as he is strafing around some of these corners as well. He's strafing around some of these corners and moving somewhat erratically all of a sudden out of nowhere. Oh wait, there's a Linatus, there's a Linatus, whoa, okay. Yeah, moving quite erratically and sliding through. What did he do? Well, what he did is he went off track. In contact with the 979 car of Damien Reed. Let's in fact go to the helicam and see for ourselves exactly what led to that incident and why it stayed out ahead after going off. See, here's Reed going for an attack on Visharek. Contact made, tiny bit though, but Visharek is going to be... So Visharek had a small tap, ultimately not affecting his race, but then goes across the chase to hold the position. Although Damien Reed has got past again in the end, so that naughty overtake was moot in the end. Looks like Lindblom has had a bit of an interesting one as well. Let's rewind the clocks on that. So he's currently trying to chase Holmberg down. I just want to see how he's doing. We did see him skip across the skyline in S's complex. Let's see what he does leading up to that point. So he's on board with helicopter through this next section and okay, yep, just taking it too hot. Just taking it a bit too hot there. No advantage, in fact lost time, so no issue. North on the back of Hebert. Fortunately, Linatus making a crucial mistake and losing himself a lot of time. That is going to play against him now. Won't quite have the chance. And looks like Visharek has had a major issue. That is going to be him into the pit lane. Let's see what happened. Remember, Visharek on the back of Damien Reed previously. Linatus up the road. Going to be Iro just coming up behind. Looks like he's peeling off to the left. And just, yeah, he just peeled off to the left and jumped out. Decided that his time was done. And so it was written. We are down to 40 cars. I'm trying to see exactly who we've lost. So we lost Visharek. Who else did we lose over the course of this race? It's Stuart Holmes. Where is Damien Reed as well? Here's Damien Reed up in 15th. Yeah, Reed up into 15th. I gotta say, it's the end of the race is one to forget there. Visharek now out. All Niesbet spun and into the pits. Not going to take any chances with that, not in the last 10 minutes. He's just going to sign that one off and say, nope. That's enough. That is where curtains call. Dave Marsh coming up to the back of Linnatus now. Half a second. North also on the back of Hebert. We'll keep an eye on those two. Lindblom and Holmberg could be getting close. I'd say it's pretty exhilarating race start to finish. We've got about 4 laps to go. Guillemot has been the undisputed king of Bathurst. 24 hours of this track would be a grueling war of attrition. That will not be a race. That would be a ultimate endurance test. It is terrifying. Which means that I automatically love it and want to sign on as a caster. Now, don't get me wrong, for the drivers, that is a heck of a commitment and a scary one at that. But for us watching at home, that would be intense in all the right ways. Here's Lindblom, though, on the back of Holmberg. Matthias Holmberg currently on the defense and has been for a little while, although not to this extent that we are currently seeing. It will, in the end, be a confident Holmberg that is holding off the NSX for the time being. Will that confidence carry him through? Not forever. And oh, loss of confidence. That's a second mistake for Lindblom. Again, just a bit too much, just overcooking it. Let's see exactly again on the helicopter. And just, yeah, lift off oversteer or just a bit too much. Either way, he's not doing well, and he's having to wait for many cars to go by before he can finally get back on. 20 seconds drop. That is a monumental loss. Monumental. I think the pressure got to Lindblom. The pressure has backfired. In another timeline, we'll be saying that Holmberg should be the one to crack and to yield a spot through a mistake. But it was Lindblom that couldn't handle the heat and had to get out the kitchen. It's Hermé going past Peyton. Up into P10, top 10 now. Rothschild could be in his sights, but 6 seconds to go, and a major off on the course is going to mean relinquishing that position immediately and returning down to P11. Rothschild is going to be on the back of Hamby, but I don't know if we're going to see that strike from the BMW. But then for the fight, the lead of bronze, it's going to be Gabbett and Sullivan as well. There will be fireworks, there will be fights, there will be fire and flames. Sullivan trying his best to close, but Gabbett just has the pace on him. He's already gained a second throughout this entire section of the course and gaining even more time. Sullivan looks like it's not going to be your day, not yet anyway. So Mitchell is looking untouchable. P2 could be up for grabs as Alex North is round about a second away from Hebert. Looks like we have, however, seen Holmberg have a major issue. That's going to be chaos coming through. Holmberg, Hellstrom, Lindblom, all back together. Let's see exactly what happened here as Holmberg just out of nowhere, sideways. Goes through, Skyline, S's. Oh, a bit too deep. Not enough power to keep the consistent run through. Gonna be trying to reverse. And ultimately, no luck. McNair is going to overtake Holmberg there from into P7. Lindblom is up into 5. Although even Lindblom was not immune, as we saw previously. He's nowhere near immune. But final 4 minutes, aka final 2 laps. Then will be the closer. Just about 30 seconds to go. A snap of pace coming in from Ostrishars, trying to challenge onto Hamby all of a sudden. This is what we're talking about, the fight to the bitter end. Holmberg into the pits inevitably. Not fit to continue in the current state. Drury's out of the pits. Morrison has been in but just coming out as well. Michael Bull has effectively retired. He has been in there for over 10 minutes, so safe to say he is done. Drury was actually clearing a not stop and go, drive-through penalty for earlier transgressions. Yep, had to be cleared by lap 26, done so into lap 25. Final chances. AMR on a penultimate lap. Yellow flags coming out for the 331 car. It's Craig Niesbet. Now into the chase. And just the brakes, just no brakes. We've seen that more times than I think many drivers would like to admit out here today. We've seen a lot of racers just lose the car in the chase and not get on the brakes properly. They're still in control, per se, but no urgency to stop. Or at least an issue preventing them from stopping. Looks like Hamby has gone very deep into the wall. He hit straight. And Ostrishars is going to take an easy spot and gain it 1.5 seconds on him, too. North and Heber both making their way around the back marker. That is going to be... It wants to work. That's David Drury in P32. 20 steps down. Still just as worthy of a driver. We're going to see Gayamar now coming up. Final minute. I think we're going to have one more lap despite the race controls call. I think there will be one more lap on the table. Time to see who has got the speed and the wherewithal to finish, as we will have final fights come through. 30 seconds on the clock as Gayamar comes up to the line. And then it will be curtains after this point. The last lap for the leader. Hermé on the back of Peyton. Pressure is the word of the day. Pressure is the word of the day. Peyton is going to be on the defense from Hermé. Heber has had a last minute and ooh! Contact, major contact between the 28 car and the number 774. That's going to be Richard Coulomb. So, Heber defending from north. Let's see exactly what happened. Up into the cutting. Sweeps through and ooh, yeah. Oh, that's a classic second guess, and the physics was not happy with that one. Classic second guessing. Tries to go off the racing line instinctively, thinking they're going to avoid, but ultimately the avoidance is what got them into the collision in the first place. Local yellow's coming out in a couple of places. Hierro is going to be stopped on track. That's spun. Went out to the top bend. Just trying to reverse and get out of the way. But hasn't really got a chance to spin the car back round. So one driver is going to be the one that takes it, as the field is showing its prowess. One holds true and one stands tall. Frederick Gayamar, congratulations. Tonight, you, in spite of your ballast and despite your performance disadvantage, have come through to win by over 30 seconds here at Mount Panorama. gold class goes to KMR across the line, and what a spectacular finish. Homer is going to be having contact, I think, with Melon, so not looking happy there, although is going to yield the position in a show of sportsmanship. We'll see a couple more incidents now as Dave Marsh is going to return to the pit lane, effectively not going to finish by the looks of things, at least on the timing board. It's going to be Wolf Slenner, though, coming now into P2 for the gold class, and then Johan Larsson will be a not too distant third. About 10 seconds away. There's your podium. We did have a last minute switch, and we do have a Liam Blom going into the gravel out of the chase. Big time drops here. All of a sudden, champion falling from grace in a way. But it's a last flurry and a scurry to get yourself through. Going to check in on some of the other classes and then come back to our silvers, as we have John Gabbert, your leading driver and winner of the bronze class, with Christian Sullivan in a close second, and then Richard Colomb in third. Finally, silvers to jump back to John Mitchell coming through the chase now. 10 gold drivers up ahead, but in very much his own lane. Alex North about 5 seconds off piste. Mitchell in channeling the Rothmans livery will come to take the checkered flag for the silver group. Alex North also challenging and channeling a bit of that nostalgic power to come through into P2. And then Anthony Hebert, one of the last drivers to come through into P3 for the silver now. Last racers now making their way. Albeit not coming up on my readings. The number 15 is not appearing properly. There we go. Cross the line now, and what a showing. Beautiful stuff, folks. It's been absolutely amazing. Apologies I wasn't able to get on camera earlier, but absolutely so impressed. Now, this is where we clock off. Of course, you know the drill by now. It's been amazing to have you as an audience as always. Again, apologies for the abrupt start, jumping straight into quali. Had that technical issue in the background that I needed to fix before we could go live properly, but rather have the race covered in full and miss out nothing of qualifying. But we have the Nordschleife. Oh boy, the Green Hell itself makes an appearance once again on the calendar, and it's the perfect calendar halfway point before we will then go for a week's break in mid-June and then return with your final 5. We'll see the championship also take a bit of a change, as Liam Blom has had a session to forget here tonight, a rare faltering of performance from our championship leader and one of the most formidable drivers on the grid. But we'll see how that all pans out, folks. This is where I say goodbye and wanted to thank you all very much once again. We'll see you next week for Nordschleife. My name's been Ben Sasswood, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.